What if you could only have one lens? One lens that excels in both video and photo, one that is not crazy expensive like all the other YouTubers recommend. Well, this is that lens to me. I've used this lens for probably 85% of my content, if not more. It's my to-go lens, and you can buy it new for under $1,000, which is a steal. The lens I'm talking about is the Tamron 28 to 75mm lens f2.8, and in this video I'm going to explain to you why I think it's the best budget-friendly lens on the market and how I'm able to produce high-quality videos for myself and my clients. A little side note, my name is Mac. I'm a professional videographer and video editor, so everything I say in this video is going to be from the perspective of making videos, but the specs can also be applied to photography. I'm not too much of a technical gear guy. This is the first video I made in many years because I just felt it was too technical and not enough human emotions in it, but now I found a way to sort of do both. I'm not gonna go into the nitty-gritty details about this lens. I'm just gonna go over the specs that stood out to me and that I think actually makes a difference. First, the lens you pick highly depend on what type of creator you are and what you're going to use this lens for. I'm a professional videographer and video editor, so the type of work that I do is mainly run and gun filming. Run and gun filming refers to a style of cinematography that prioritizes mobility and quick setups, allowing filmmakers to capture footage on the go with minimal equipment and crew, often in situations where the scene is constantly changing and retakes are limited. This applies to pretty much all types of videography work that I do, both for clients but also personal videos like traveling, vlogging, and documenting my life. It basically just means that the majority of what I shoot, I have little to no time to plan out or to set up the shots. I shoot most of my stuff handheld. It's a lot of reading the room and seeing what to capture, when to capture it. Because of this style, I'm highly dependent on having both a camera body but a camera lens that is very versatile. The other side of this, if you don't do run and gun shooting, you're probably in a much bigger film crew, at least bigger than one person. It's the cinematographer's job to figure out which camera and camera lens to use to get that very specific shot. Being on set is very different because you can reshoot your scenes. Most likely, each shot has a very significant meaning for the whole video. Like each framing, each focal length, each camera, they all play an important role in the video. When I film my YouTube videos like this, I obviously reshoot and I can take as long as I want. Versatility can mean several things when it comes to a camera lens, but in general, we are talking about the range of focal length that the lens has. The Tamron lens is a zoom lens, meaning it ranges from the widest it can shoot to the closest it can shoot. And in this case, the widest is 28mm and the closest is 75. In theory, it means that I don't have to bring additional lenses between those ranges because they are already covered. Opposite, a prime lens has one fixed focal length, such as 35, 50, or 85, and if you want more or less in frame, you have to physically move your body. Now, this is fine if you're outdoor and the space is big and there's no people there. But if you're in a situation with very limited space or just tons of people, then this becomes difficult. When I travel, I try to pack light. There's obviously a limit to how much you can bring, and I also just don't like traveling with a lot of gear. It's inconvenient. I don't want anyone to steal it. It's just easier if you only have one camera and one lens. This is a great lens for traveling because although it is a zoom lens, which tend to be bigger than prime lenses, it's not too big or too heavy. In addition to traveling, this is the only lens I use for client work. I'm very good at what I do, and I honestly don't need super expensive gear to make high quality videos. I've never had a client ask me about shots beyond this lens's capabilities, and that just says how powerful this lens is. Sure, there are times when I'm in very limited situations or I'm in need for a very specific shot. This week I actually shot my friend's tiny desk submission, and we were in this very small room and we were filming him and two other people. and my lens was just not wide enough, so I used my wide angle lens, which is actually what I'm filming with right now. But typically this is not a problem, and the Tamron lens covers literally 85% of my content. First up is Aperture, also known as f-stop. I need my phone for this. Aperture is the opening in the camera lens that controls how much light reaches the camera's image sensor. And in simple terms, it does two things. One, it controls how dark or bright your image is, how much you can control, and two, how much depth of field is in your image. So that refers to that blurry background effect that people like. The lower the number, the more light you could control, so that is what you would want. But with lowering the number, the pricier the lens is going to get. The aperture of the Tamron lens is 2.8, and I think that is a great number. I often don't need the 1.2, 1.4, those crazy aperture numbers, because a lot of times I actually have it higher because I want the image to be a bit sharper. But that's another video for another time. So yeah, the aperture of this lens is enough to create those blurry, dreamy background effects. It's also good to notice that this is a constant aperture. So if you set it on 2.8, then it will stay like that regardless of your focal length. If you have a lens that has a variable, some lenses have a variable aperture, meaning the lowest number actually depends on the focal length that you shoot with. To maintain a constant aperture, manufacturers need to add larger glass elements and more advanced mechanisms, increasing the lens's size and price. It just means that constant apertures are more expensive. Another spec I really like about this lens is the autofocus. Having a fast and reliable autofocus is very important when you do run and gun shooting, because a lot of times you don't have time to manually focus. You don't want to miss the opportunity to capture something important because your lens was not in focus. I will say, first when I got the lens, I didn't understand the autofocus because it seemed like mine didn't work. I thought it was because of my camera body, because that can be the case sometimes. I did some research and found out Tamron knew about this problem. They heard everyone complain, so they actually updated the firmware to correct this issue. Just make sure you have the latest version of the firmware. I'm sure there are way more specs with this lens that other YouTubers cover, but to me, I just wanted to focus on the ones that I think actually matter, and yeah. Finally, and possibly the biggest reason why I think this is the best lens on the market for someone in my situation, and that is the price. It's currently listed for $849 USD, but you can get it even cheaper if you buy it used, which is what I did. I also have to mention that there are actually two versions of this lens for some reason. I don't know the difference between them. All I know is I have the first and my version works great. Typically, to get a zoom lens with this focal length range and such a low aperture, you need to pay like 2 or 3 times the price. To prove it, I'm going to show you the Sony G Master series. These are lenses that are similar. Both the Sony 24 to 70mm f2.8 and the 16 to 35mm f2.8 cost twice as much. All the nerds that are going to come after me, sure, those G Master lenses are probably better built and can do slightly more, but at what cost? What is the best overall lens to me might not be the best overall lens to you. It highly depends on what type of filmmaker you are and what you need a lens for. If you work on set in a film crew, I doubt you will need a zoom lens. They probably have like 10 different prime lenses. If you're more of an overall content creator, videographer like me, and you need a lens that can do more than just one thing, then the Tamron lens is an absolute great choice. I have used this lens for over 4 years now. It's my to-go lens, and I don't really have a reason to replace it anytime soon. To me, gear play a role in my content and my videos, but it would never be more important than storytelling and editing. You can have a decent lens and still produce amazing high-quality videos if you know how to do the rest. I would rather invest in proper audio, lighting gear, and the actual camera body. Also, don't think you need super expensive gear to be paid either. I've been a freelancer for many years. A lot of brands actually like more organic, simple looking content now. I mean, look at like UGC, influencer marketing, TikTok. I'm gonna tell you this, most brands and people cannot even tell the difference between what this Tamron lens can produce and a G Master series lens can produce. So yeah, that's it. If you like this video, please let me know. I have not made a gear review video in so long. It's not even really a review, like I'm just recommending like my favorite lens. If you liked it, let me know. I can definitely make more. Yeah, but until next time, peace.